All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff. I'm joined with Joshua and Bernadette, and we are here to discuss in INST 5131 trends and issues in instructional design and technology, specifically the overview of the field. And so I think, given that in the instructional design sphere, there's a lot of different positions and roles that one could pursue. This is really just like an exploration of what options are available. And so we have some objectives. What we're going to do is each present, I think, three different positions that we found, right? And
Yes.
talk about where did we find these positions? Do these positions align with our current career path? What are the expected aspects of the job posting? Anything that was a surprise? And then ultimately, if there is a position that is asking for something that you might not be ready for yet, like what sort of gaps might there be, and how would you maybe close those? And that's the plan. So we're going to just take turns. I think I'm first. So I work at the University of Texas, specifically an online high school, UT High School. So I'm technically a UT employee, which gives me access to what's called Workday, right? So Workday is our sort of employee portal where we submit our timesheets and all of these other things related to benefits. But one of the things that Workday also provides is a jobs hub. And so this first position of instructional designer, specifically within the Office of Information Technology at the Dell Medical School, I found this in the Workday Jobs Hub, right? Just searching for keywords like instructional design. And so Workday is this Jobs Hub. This is something that is available to outside candidates. But the reason I think why I just gravitate to using Workday is that I know that a lot of these positions are also posted on LinkedIn and Indeed. So rather than just going there to find something like this, I'm just going to go to a platform that I have easier access to. And so I like Workday just because I can set up alerts. I guess you could do that in LinkedIn and Indeed, but I can set up alerts to send me notification emails if certain positions become available. But I think what's really unique about just the access that I have is I can use Workday to see how a particular position fits in the broader organizational chart of, for example, the Office of Information and Technology. I could see who I might be reporting to or who I might be working with, right? So I know that's not something that LinkedIn or Indeed could provide. So in terms of whether this position aligns with my current career path, I would say absolutely, right? So I chose to pursue this particular master's degree largely to take advantage of opportunities like this, right? So as an instructional designer, I would be working with subject matter experts to help support the medical school to help train and teach future doctors. And so I was drawn to this position because not only of what I'm learning in this master's program now, but just the experience I have in education. I'm looking for something that doesn't rely so specifically on my curricular background in social studies. And so I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to apply my instructional design skills to focus on an area that I maybe am not so familiar with, right? So one of the things that I think I was definitely drawn to was the fact that nowhere in the required qualifications or the preferred qualifications was this expectation that I had to have some medical background or any medical experience. What I also appreciated is that the platform, the learning management system that is going to be used is something I'm familiar with, which is Canvas, right? So the fact that this position requires at least 2 years of experience in educational technology is something that I expected, right? Just based on the job title. In terms of what I was surprised, like I kind of guess I already mentioned this, is that I was genuinely surprised that they were not necessarily looking for anybody that has a science background or a medical background. However, I imagine that if it was down to two candidates, who were equally qualified in all other areas, and one did have a medical background and one did not, the person with that science or medical background that might be the deciding factor, I guess is what I'm trying to say. In terms of gaps, based on the required qualifications, the only gaps that I identified were related to using Excel and databases. I think there's a reference to it in this screenshot. And so I've obviously used Excel, a little bit, but maybe not to the extent that would be required for this position. One of the benefits of being a UT employee, though, is we have a robust professional development platform that employees can use to learn how to use tools like Excel or learn how to use databases. And so if I was really, really interested, I could, on my own time, seek out those types of instructional videos and resources to learn what I needed to in order to be, I guess, better qualified for this position. So that's position one. Position two is an educational technologist at the McCombs School of Business. The purpose is to support the McCombs community. We're talking about faculty, program and department leaders, students, support partners. The community at McCombs is very large, right? And so as an educational technologist, the key word that I recognized a lot is collaboration in terms of working with these different stakeholders. And so like the previous position, I found this via Workday. I also noticed, again, it was posted on LinkedIn and Indeed. In terms of whether this aligns with my current path and future career path of interest, again, like the previous position, I was drawn to this because it wasn't tied so much to my curricular background, right? So this position focuses on working with faculty. I do want to stay in higher ed in some capacity. Staying with UT is a priority for me. But also knowing that I would be using Canvas, an LMS that I'm very familiar with, was something that definitely aligns with where I am right now and where I want to go. In terms of expected aspects, I already spoke about Canvas. This is we use Canvas for a lot of different things when it comes to working with students. All UT students use Canvas for their courses, and so it's not a surprise to me that this position would lean so heavily on that platform. The focus on I guess in terms of the purpose, supporting the community. I already spoke about collaboration. I didn't count how many times collaboration came up in this job posting, but it does come up quite a bit. And so knowing that supporting the community is a priority, collaboration, it was a very much expected part of the job posting. The thing that surprised me was the degree to which this position not so much works within the business school, but also works with other organizations at UT. So like UT's Department of Information Technology Services, other colleges and campuses, different work groups. I think the idea is that McCombs wants to be in an alignment in terms of the technology initiatives that are happening throughout the broader University of Texas. So that was a surprise. Gaps, I would say the biggest gap, there's a reference to, I think, multimedia learning right here. I've had some experience putting together instructional videos, but I think maybe the level, the professionalism that this position may be looking for is something that I just don't have, whether it's the specific cameras or the microphones or the editing software. Like that is definitely a gap that I could definitely work on using our UT Learn platform that I was talking about earlier. Okay, last but not least, learning intelligence analyst, right? So the purpose of this position is to join an academic affairs team to analyze how Canvas is used using data that can be pulled from Canvas to then determine maybe different strategies and different ways of delivering content that might lead to increased or improved learning outcomes. And so this is very much a data-driven position, also found via Workday. But I would say of the three, this is probably the position that is least aligned. It is definitely interesting. I can see elements of it that I'm definitely drawn to, but there's also things that I'm not as interested in. But I think given the emphasis on Canvas, this is something that I'm very comfortable with. I've used Canvas in my previous position as a high school teacher. I'm definitely using it now in my position with UT High School. And so I am familiar with the ways in which you can pull data out of Canvas in order to sort of understand how it's being used or how students are engaging with it. So in terms of surprises, I would just say that the similar to the McCombs position, one of the surprising aspects was coordinating with other departments at UT. It's not something that I've had a lot of experience with in my current position, but it's something that I certainly wasn't expecting when I looked at this position the first time. Gaps, I would say the references to SQL based languages, right? So this is, again, like I said, a very data driven position. I don't think I have the level of data analysis experience that this position may be looking for, but I think what honestly drew my attention is this very first bullet. It's possible that no single candidate will offer all desired qualifications. I don't know if I've ever seen that before at a job posting. I think without that, I might look at the rest of these bullets and say, like, this is definitely not for me. But with this first bullet saying that no single candidate is going to, have all of these qualifications, I feel like I'd be more likely, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, more likely to pursue, explore, and maybe even apply to this position, knowing that I'm not necessarily checking off all the boxes. So that, in a nutshell, are my three positions. And so I open the floor to the two of you. Questions or comments?
Just out of curiosity, do you get would you get like priority through this,
Um,
um, whatever job
I
search that this is,
That's a
since you're
good
a UT
question.
employee?
That's a good question. I would like to think so. I think
That'd be cool, right?
there's a certain um I guess currency. Like if you are familiar enough with certain UT processes or programs versus somebody who's coming up off the street, I think that's going to
Yeah, you
definitely,
kind of already have an in a little
yeah.
bit.
Um, but yeah, so I don't necessarily think that automatically I'm just jump to the top of the list, but um, I do think it being a UT employee using Workday, it makes it very easy for me to apply to these positions pretty quickly versus maybe an outside candidate.
That's cool.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments before we go on to the next? I think Joshua, you're
Yeah, just a quick
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Looking at the three positions, they are the same, but they're very different at the same. It's kind of twofold question.
Yeah.
What do you hope to, what's your overall goal in looking for a job?
Yeah.
When,
So
if you were
that's a
to,
very good question. I'm thankfully I'm comfortable enough with my position to be, I guess, picky, right? So I do want to stay with UT just because of the benefits that it provides and the flexibility it provides. Like I have a remote or a flex schedule where I'm at home a couple days a week and on site a couple days a week. And so I like that. And the other thing I would say is that I have been in public education for almost 20 years. And so when you're that deep into the pension of for retirement purposes, it's really hard to want to like jump ship and roll the dice on the private sector, I guess. So,
Absolutely.
but I
And
guess to
especially,
answer your question, like I'm looking for anything that relates to instructional design, training, maybe even a little like curriculum development. I had an interview with our technology department, our ITS department, to essentially become an instructional designer for the Workday program, right? So to help people know how to use Workday, that requires training, and so to develop the videos, the how-to guides, all of that stuff. That's kind of the area that I'm looking to go, right? So as a teacher, I have just developed certain skills that are not necessarily so tied to like the subject that I teach as much as it is just like the skill of teaching, right? So I want to be able to use those skills in a slightly different context.
okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Joshua, you're up.
All right, so I'll try and go through mine kind of quickly. I don't want our video to be super duper long.
They can
But
watch it on 2 times speed if they want to.
I I don't have access to a cool thing like Jeff does to find jobs. So I just found all three of mine on LinkedIn. I went in and I typed in instructional designer and I put my location as Houston, and these three kind of all popped up. So this first one here is the only one that I actually found that was in Houston. There were a few others, but I felt like the qualifications required were a lot higher. They were looking for more like a medium or a higher kind of experienced person. So I was like, all right, let me pick something that seemed a little bit more reasonable. Um, Frankly, I'm not exactly sure what my future career path is. I am a current teacher, but I'm looking to leave education. So I've only been in for this will be my 7th year, so I'm at that time where it's still a little easier to get out. But I don't know exactly where I want to end up. So I kind of picked a few different ones that are kind of just random, just to see what's out there. So this first one is for HCA Healthcare, which is in Houston, and it's kind of focusing on just training, doing training programs for whatever it is that they need there. Some of the aspects that I was expecting were creating trainings, applying like adult learning theories, and just supporting online platforms. It mentions an LMS, but it was never specific about which one it mentioned. So that'll be, I guess that would be a surprise if I applied and they accepted to figure out whatever that is. But beyond that, I didn't really have any surprises here. It seemed like a pretty run of the mill instructional designer kind of basic job. And as far as gaps, they're looking for degrees, which I do not have. I have a music degree, and then working on this one, so eventually I'll be there, but not quite yet. And then just the skills required. I think it mentions Captivate, Adobe Captivate in here, and I've messed with it a little bit. I took the class over the summer, and we used Captivate for a week, I think. But yeah, just that missing that work experience really is where the gaps are for me for this one. All right, we can head to the next one. Oh, nice. So this one, also on LinkedIn, seemed a little bit different. It seemed a bit more detailed. It seemed like they were looking for kind of two things here. They were looking for a learning analyst, but also an instructional designer. So it had a lot more kind of requirements, a lot more expectations from the role. But one thing that I thought was really nice as a current 5-day-a-week teacher, getting in, going, driving 20 minutes to school. This one is a fully remote position. Um, which I was like, oh, I've never been able to work fully remote before. That sounds really nice. So I went ahead and grabbed it and put it on here. But more of those kind of same expectations, lots of collaboration, like Jeff mentioned, working with subject matter experts, adult learning, and creating just learning experiences. For this one, the analysis part, the learning analyst part, is really where the gaps are going to come in for me. I don't really have any experience doing analysis of anything, so that would be something definitely that I would have to pick up. Like it mentions a few evaluation models. I think it says the Kirkpatrick model and another one. No idea what that means, but happy to learn. I'll do anything to work from home.
Yeah.
And then my last one. This one is another fully remote position, also founded on LinkedIn, and it's for I guess a group that does trainings for either retirement homes or kind of end of care facilities, which I thought was kind of interesting. My brother is a doctor, and I did a lot of healthcare related stuff throughout my kind of education background. I did a lot of that, so I have some knowledge of the process there, but of course not anything serious. But again, it's all kind of the same stuff when you're searching for instructional designer. You're getting the same requirements. You're working with SMEs. You need to be computer proficient. You're learning new programs and LMS, and then um, some kind of software that they want you to use. So this one is Articulate and Captivate. So you've got to know some kind of program for them to want you. Gaps for this one. I have no idea what a SCORM file is. It's listed in there under, I think it's in the responsibility section. Oh no, it's under qualifications on the bottom. Zero idea what that is. Real curious, but maybe not today.
Yeah.
And then this one also mentions some team leader experience. I am currently in my first year of being a team leader, so it's very, very limited. I have about a month and a half of experience with that. But beyond that, all three of the jobs were real similar in their kind of expectations and requirements, just varying in their desired levels of experience.
Well, let me ask a question because I find LinkedIn overwhelming.
It was really overwhelming. So I used it for the first time this week. I made an account and I have a nice little blank profile with
Yeah,
no
same.
information on it. So when I when I went to apply, it was like, you have 47 gaps on your resume for this application. Okay,
Cool.
I'll keep that in mind. Um, it was it was interesting to use, putting in my location, and then I think it was like a 20-mile radius from Houston. It only picked up maybe 5 or 6 jobs that were actually in Houston, and then everything else was fully remote,
Yeah.
which I know for instructional design is doable, but it was a lot. But now I get an email every day about new job postings for instructional design.
Well, the other thing I noticed is that I think we're drawn largely to like private sector positions, and in like those roles, they're using a lot of these uh, software platforms that we're learning how to use in this program, right? So like Adobe
Mhm.
Captivate, Articulate, all of these things that we've used in previous classes.
Yeah,
None of those have come up in any of my UT related searches. It's all just like Canvas.
I
So
would have probably put like a higher education option on here, but when I searched, there was no options. The
yeah.
only education related search that came up was for an art teacher,
Oh,
and I was like, that
okay.
is not what I was looking for at all. So LinkedIn needs to refine their search algorithm.
So
I think I get it. I have had similar experiences with LinkedIn and that kind of thing. If you had to choose, if you were going to apply for one of these jobs today, which one would it be
Ooh,
and why?
you're on the
um,
spot.
On the spot, I think I might go with the second position, the Yahoo, the analyst and the instructional designer. It was they had the like the pay listed, so it was a little bit of a pay cut, but to do that and to be able to work from home and then also learn this brand new skill, I feel like would be really valuable. Just as a future option from okay, if I work here for a while and I need to go somewhere else, I now have two skills that I've learned rather than just kind of one at the other options.
Mm, great.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Bernadette.
All right. So, um, the first position is an instructional design position. It's basically, let's see, I found all of these jobs on Indeed, and one of the major criteria for me was remote work. Like Joshua, I'm a teacher. I'm really tired of getting up at the crack of dawn every morning to get ready, to get in the car, the
Amen.
whole, travel. So, again, the opportunity to work from home, even though I would prefer a hybrid situation because I know that working from home thing can become very long and it becomes really difficult sometimes to manage your time and you end up working way more than you should. So I'd like a little bit of a break, but what drew me to this job was the opportunity to work with SMEs. I feel like this job closely aligns to my future goals. So I feel like this was a job that at the end of this master's, even though they always ask for X amount of experience, I feel like this is a job that I could put myself forward for and feel a bit confident. Whether or not I get it, is another set of circumstances. But just looking at the qualifications and the responsibilities, they're all something that I've either done or know that I can definitely do based on my teaching career. I've been a department chair for 7 years. Prior to moving to Texas, I'm in year 3 as a team lead. I also have, I don't know, I guess I paused to call it a company, but I do have an LLC where I have had contracts developing curriculum, a civics curriculum for a nonprofit organization. So that takes me in, well, not yet. So gaps though. So gaps at this point in my development, even though I've taken some stuff, like I don't feel confident that I know the software of and the tools of the trade well enough to really put myself forward that way, unless I was willing to take a massive pay cut at an entry level, and I'm not ready to do that. So it would be my gaps would definitely be the tools of the trade. But even though I do have considerable experience with LMSs, so that was not necessarily a gap. The only gap in that would be they talk about Bright Star, Bright Space, and Desire to Learn. I've never worked with those LMSs. I've worked with mainly school-based LMSs, Canvas, and now Schoology. But no, I figure LMS is a LMS is a LMS, and I can figure it out. So those are, that's that one. So that dovetails into the second job that I chose, curriculum development. As I just said to you before, I do have experience both in my job as a teacher. We all three of us are in education, and whether you're actually at the state level creating the TEKS, we all create curriculum all day, every day. So it's not something that we're not used to, and that's something that we're not, competent at doing. So again, this would be another job that I'd be very I feel like at the end of this program, or even before, I can put myself up and not feel intimidated by the qualifications or the responsibilities. And looking at the qualifications for the most part, this job, I have less gaps with this one, even though they don't talk about necessarily, they don't talk in instructional design language about instructional design. Like, there's no mention of storyline or captivate or something, but they do talk about the development of online learning. So it's got to be somewhere, maybe Canvas or in an LMS or something like that. So with this one, I definitely feel that this is a job that even right now I could kind of go out there and put myself forward and feel kind of confident again. They do talk about an Infusionsoft email structure. Never heard of that before, but again, it's an email thing. I can't believe that it would be too difficult to learn. Am I leaving anything out? Surprises. Is this the one with the website design? No, there wasn't really anything necessarily surprising about this particular job. Job opportunity or anything. So it's pretty straightforward, what I would expect from a curriculum development position. And definitely would definitely call for me having more than an advanced knowledge of technology to be able to integrate technology into the development of curriculum. So that's that job. Next job. All right, this is the one. So this job is a contract job. It's for an instructional designer. That's something that I've played around with in my head, kind of like I don't know if it's a fear or what it is, but I'm just kind of like, maybe once I finish this, I'll take a contract here or there and kind of get a better feel for the field, the industry, what it's like actually working as an instructional designer from a contract basis, again, remote, as opposed to kind of committing myself to a company, whatever. So this one kind of stood out to me. Lots of surprises in this one. Workshop facilitation, not so much surprising. We develop instructor-led for learning experiences and that kind of thing. And an equity minded approach committed to promoting diversity. And then if you take a look over at the second bullet, the responsibility of this role plays a critical part in ensuring our educational resources promote equity and accessibility while keeping pace. So this seems to kind of be very much about it's giving me this whole DEI kind of feel to it or whatever. Multimedia proficiency, they weren't exactly open about what that means or what that would look like. But again, that just kind of made me really feel good about the choice of starting this program because I feel like I get a lot of exposure gaps. This one, and I think the first one, I don't know if you guys came into contact with this acronym, OSCQR, which is the online, basically it is I'll tell you right now, have the page open in my online thing. Sorry. So it is a rubric that they use to measure the quality of online. It's called an online course quality review rubric. And so this job talks a lot about, further down in the job description, talks a lot about creating learning experiences and courses that would rate well on this rubric and that kind of thing. So that was interesting to me. I didn't know that the industry had such a tool. So that brought that to light to me. And then the project management. I don't have a lot of experience, even though I have a lot of experience managing people. Project management and project management tools are something that I am not very well versed in. So that's something that I would definitely have to beef up my skills. Another one of the jobs, it was Adobe Acrobat. Yeah, I could play around with it, but honestly, like I'm a Canva kind of girl. I'll just kind of get into Canva and mess around with it in Canva or whatever. But I do want to strengthen my graphic design skills. So those are my three jobs, gentlemen. Do you have any?
Well, since you asked this, it was a fantastic question you asked, Joshua. I'm going to throw it back at you. Of these three jobs, Bernadette, which one are you drawn to the most and why?
Honestly, at right now,
Yeah, right
um,
now, let's go.
the curriculum development job.
Oh, this one right
Uh,
here.
yeah, this one right here. I feel like the boxes, if this was on LinkedIn, I do have a LinkedIn profile. I'm not paying for it anymore, so I don't get all the things and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But I feel like if I were to pull this job up in LinkedIn, I feel like the gaps that they usually highlight would be a lot less. I would probably get, you'd probably be a good candidate for this job. This is something that I could do now and take the things that I'm learning in this course and infuse it to make me stronger as a curriculum developer. At the end of this course, or maybe even a little, maybe once I take a couple more classes, position three would be the one that I would be more interested in, which is the contract 12 months and that kind of thing. Because it's mostly remote,
Mhm.
but it's for a school in the SUNY system, State University of New
Yeah,
York.
okay.
And even though I'm here in Houston, I'm originally from the Bahamas, but I moved initially and lived in New York for 20 years. So I consider myself a New Yorker. I'm a New York girl and actually have my degree from the CUNY system. So
Nice.
that's my kind of drive, um, pull towards that. It's the
Okay.
kind I'm thinking like, oh, this might be an opportunity to go home. So there you go.
Nice.
I don't really have any questions. I'm glad that you mentioned the contract work because I saw a few contracts while I was looking for stuff too, and I thought that that would be a really good idea to kind of flush out a portfolio kind of
Yeah,
before
you
applying
know,
for a real
yeah.
application or a real job. Yeah, see if like I was like maybe I can look for some short contracts over summer or something and see if I can do anything like that outside of
There's
my teaching
actually a
hours.
website that I came into contact with. I gotta remember it. I can't remember it. But there's this job site that does that. Like there's a lot. It's specifically for instructional design. And there's like all these jobs out there that are either contracts or somebody has a contract and they're subcontracting out a piece of the work, or they want somebody to work with them on one particular piece of the project or whatever. So that's like a very interesting way or a great
Yeah,
way,
that sounds really cool.
yeah, to get over the whole experience hump, because that's the one thing that always kind of blows my mind with these instructional design positions. It's like everybody wants you to have 5 years experience. Well, somebody's got to start somewhere. So,
Well, with your master's, that's 2-ish years of
Yes.
experience right there.
yeah.
And
So what
some
did
of
you
the
say?
classes
Part
you're
of
going
the
to
way.
take, you're going to use tools that are featured in a lot of these positions. And so I would just recommend that you kind of create your own little portfolio of all the little products that you create so that you
Hmm.
can then include those in a future resume.
Gotcha.
So, well, I think we did it. I don't
I
have
Yeah,
think
anything
so.
else to say. So, until next time, I'm going to stop the record.
All right.
awesome. Thanks.
Let's see, record, stop.